In this story, when you hear this, turn the page. Paddington's new room. One morning, Paddington came downstairs and found, to his surprise, that everyone else had finished breakfast. "We have to go out this morning," explained Mrs. Brown, "but we've left you plenty, so you won't go hungry." "I hope that bear will be all right," said Mrs. Bird, the Browns' housekeeper, as they made their way down Windsor Gardens. "I don't like leaving him on his own for too long." "I expect he'll find something to do," said Jonathan. "He usually does." "He was busy writing a new chapter in his scrapbook just before we left," broke in Judy. "I saw the heading. It's called At a Loose End." "That," said Mrs. Bird, "is what I'm afraid of." Mrs. Bird wasn't at all happy about leaving Paddington on his own, especially when he was at a loose end. And had she been able to see over his shoulder at that moment, she would have felt even more uneasy. Paddington had just started a brand new page. It was called Decorating My New Room. Paddington's new room was a sore point in the Browns' household. For the time being, he was occupying the guest room, but Mr. Brown had promised to decorate the attic for him, so that he would have a room he could call his own. For several weeks now, Paddington had had his belongings packed, ready for the big move. For one reason and another, the job had never been started, and now that Paddington found himself left on his own, it seemed a good chance to kill two birds with one stone: decorate the attic, and do Mr. Brown a good turn into the bargain. But as he opened the door, he nearly fell over backwards in surprise. He'd never seen so many bits and pieces before. In fact, it was a job to know where to start, and he quite saw why Mr. Brown had kept putting it off. There was a step-ladder, a table with some rolls of wallpaper on it, two buckets, one full of whitewash and the other full of paste, and several tins of paint, not to mention an electric paint stirrer. Paddington decided to test the electric paint stirrer first, so he opened some paint and switched on the motor. He wasn't quite sure what happened next, but when he plunged the whirring blades into the tin, everything seemed to go dark. It was just as if he was standing in the middle of a hailstorm, except that the flakes were all brown and sticky. Paddington gazed gloomily around the room. It was a bad start to the day's work. "Perhaps," he announced, addressing the world in general, "if I do the wallpapering first, it will cover all the splashes." But the wallpaper turned out to be even more of a problem than the paint. As fast as he unrolled one end of the paper, the other end rolled itself up again after him. And when he tried going the other way, it was just as bad. So in the end, he decided to start in the middle and work his way outwards with the paste. At long last, the first piece of paper was ready. But by that time it was so heavy with paste it suddenly fell to the floor, and he found himself left with two very small pieces in his paws. Heaving a deep sigh, Paddington pressed them into place, and then climbed back down again in order to survey his handiwork. It wasn't very much, but at least it was a start. And with the help of a broom, he managed to carry on with the rest of the wall. It was later that morning, while he was having a much-needed rest, that Paddington suddenly caught sight of the ceiling. Seeing how dirty it was, he decided that if he made a good job of whitewashing it, the Browns might not notice the mess he'd made of the rest of the room. When the music stops, turn your cassette over.